All right, guys, we are live. A solo edition of TigerBait Live. Buddy backed out on me this afternoon. Said he wasn't feeling so good. I think he's wanting to enjoy the open date for all it's worth, but he says he'll be back next week. But I think we're going to have a big show tonight and lots to discuss. We've been hitting the road at TigerBait.com following high school football games and trying to see as many of these LSU football recruits across the state for 23, 24, 25, and 26. As many as we can see before the playoffs start, and then we really want to add even more once the playoffs start and see some of these matchups where there's LSU prospects on both sides of the ball. But got a lot to discuss tonight. Of course, we're brought to you by Pride Roofing, the official roofing company of TigerBait.com. And give them a call, 855-PRIDE-16. Tell them you heard about them on TigerBait, and if you do, they're going to pay for you to have TigerBait Premium free for 1 year, and they're footing the bill. We'll talk about them a little bit later in the show, and we thank Mike and Alex for all they do as being a part of our TigerBait family. And guys, you guys put us over the hump. I said it on last week's show. We were right there going to hit 15,000 by the week, and we hit it on Sunday, and so over 15,000 subscribers now on our YouTube channel. Big thanks to you guys, spreading the word, hitting that like button, sharing it. And so, again, if you enjoy the show, hit the like button, share it to your social media, Twitter, Facebook, all the groups, and all your LSU friends. Send it to them in a text message. Let them enjoy the show. And I think we're going to have a lively one tonight. Probably talk a little bit more recruiting tonight as the coaches are going to be hitting the road. And saw Frank Wilson out myself for the second time this season on Friday night when LCA laid the wood to Westgate. And Jawan Johnson just put an interview up I did with him, the fantastic athlete from LCA. He talks about recruiting, his timetable. That went up about an hour ago. We had Shelton Sampson video today. We've shot him now, I think, 3 times. Nobody does prospect video the way we do at TigerBait.com, and we're bringing you a ton of it. I've got more coming tomorrow, at least I think 2 or 3 more prospects. We've been kind of stacking up some. And then, of course, a lot of Friday night games, bad weather going to hit South Louisiana, so a lot of Friday night games are being moved to Thursday night. And so we'll be heading out tomorrow as well to get you some more videos. So, all right, guys, let me get to some of your comments. Henry Bennett, hey, Mike, love the show. Glad to have you with us, Henry. What are the chances of getting Derek Williams to flip or maybe Jacoby Matthews to transfer since A&M is a dumpster fire? That's been a lot of discussion this week. I've now seen Derek twice, interacted with him, interviewed him when they beat St. Martinville, I guess 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I stick by it. I really believe if Derek Williams flips from Texas to anywhere, I think it's going to be Alabama. So tell your Longhorn fans to be nervous about Alabama on him. I really like where LSU's at with some other defensive backs. And I think they're going to load the wagon there. James Sells, Henry, how do you know the ones that are being suspended are not part of the ones lighting the fire? Yeah, I'm unaware of any issues with what's going on at A&M involving any of the Louisiana kids, whether it's Edrin Cooper, Jacoby Matthews, Le'Veon Moss. It's other kids. It's none of the Louisiana kids that Jimbo Fisher's got, but they are very, very nervous in College Station about some of their top prospects, particularly the ones that they just signed, not seeing Sexy as the place to be or the hot rising program and a mass exodus or an exodus enough to really set them back a good bit. So Jimbo Fisher's got a lot of cleanup work to do. He's going to need to hire an offensive coordinator or he's going to have big problems. Doug knows Aggie transfer portal is going to be lit. Jimbo is finally being exposed by the media. Doug, you've been on this show every week. What have I been saying almost every week since the new year? And all the talk, I say it after New Year, especially after they signed the #1 recruiting class in the country. and the debated how many millions they spent to get it. I told y'all that they weren't going to do anything like that they were suggesting. They're not the heir apparent to Alabama in the West or any such thing. Sinlaw Tiger, what's up, Mike? Hello from the 3-1 great. Yeah, 318 is 3-1 great. All right. Bayou Bing, was Buddy watching tonight, or is his burner count? Yeah, there you go. Buddy swears he doesn't have a burning count. Trucking with Casper, hear static in the mic. Mike, are y'all hearing static? Let me know. Let me try something real quick if you are. Let me know if y'all are hearing static. Sometimes I get a loose, I pull these microphones out for when I go do interviews, and sometimes I don't get a good connection when I plug them back in. Kenny Futch, good evening, Mike. Glad to have you with us, Kenny, long-time LSU fan. Doug knows, how are we feeling about Kelly overall? I think a warm-up game before Florida State, we're sitting at 1 loss. I know a lot of people think that, and I agree with you. But like I said on our post-game show Saturday night, LSU is ahead of schedule now. They were on schedule with the Ole Miss, with the Florida win, beating Ole Miss. It puts them ahead of schedule. I think they're on their way to getting the 8-4, which I thought was very reasonable expectations for what he inherited. And now you've got people recalibrating beyond that, thinking 9-3 is possible. And so it's going to be absolutely electric in Tiger Stadium next Saturday night. Alabama comes to town. They're not the typical Alabama team that you can see most years under Saban. But at the same time, one thing we do know is that Nick Saban, he takes that 1 week off before LSU, just like LSU does before Alabama, and he always has Alabama playing their best ball against LSU. It just, they're not going to get a performance out of Alabama like Alabama and some others where it's Texas A&M where it's close. They're going to be trying to hit on all cylinders and have some new wrinkles dialed in during this open date, especially for LSU. Phillips Clinton asks Mike, will LSU finish with a top 5 class? I think they're going to be right there. Could they get as high as 3 or 4? I tend to think they're going to be somewhere between 4 and 6, which I think is an excellent spot. And I think, look, there's other things that you grade these recruiting classes by now. It's not just the high school. You can grade a recruiting class and start calling it a recruiting year because it's how well you maintain your current roster and prevent some of your key guys from hitting the portal. It's your high school signees, and it's what you do in the transfer portal. And even though you like what Coach Kelly is doing right now, they still have some need positions that they're going to need some transfer portal kids. I think there's a very real scenario or probable scenario where you're going to need a transfer portal quarterback in the spring. Could you get a transfer portal tight end? What do you do at punter? Is Peyton Todd the guy? He's been in the program now for several years, or do you have to go to the portal to get a punter? Still need some defensive backs. I think that they're going to keep adding there until they have a nice, healthy number for margin for error. Brett LeBlanc, Destrehan is the truth. Absolutely. They always are. I was telling somebody last week, you see some great football when I'm heading to Lafayette or staying in the area and seeing the best teams in this area. And then when you go to see Destrehan and some of the other schools like Carr and John Ehret, and it just really becomes big boy football. But St. Aug comes into Baton Rouge and beats Zachary. And Zachary looked like you were wondering who, if was there any chance that anybody would beat him. But yeah, Cobbins is the real deal. Got to see him in the spring, and fantastic kid too. Honor student, I believe. Everybody in the country is going to want Cobbins from Destrehan, class of 2024. Chance Babin asks Mike, how loyal are mercenaries? Jimbo will find out soon. Phillips Clinton, let Jacoby Matthews stay. We don't need him. Edgerrin Cooper wouldn't be a bad one if he wanted to come home. Le'Veon Moss wouldn't be a bad one, but everybody knows with what Le'Veon and his family dealt with here, and he needed to go. I'm pulling for that kid, except I want him to do well. Juwan Hearns, Bama can be beat. We will beat them, I believe, so by 7-10. However, I still have no expectations for this team this year, so they're impressing me each week. That's the way to handle it, Juwan. I said it before the Florida game or after the Tennessee game, when everybody was saying, can they get to 7-5 or 6-6 the max? And now everybody's talking 9-3 or 10-2. That don't pick LSU. I said I'm not going to pick LSU any week except UAB. And then when they win one, pleasant surprise. And I think a lot of fans have that. But when you win 2 games back-to-back like they did going to Gainesville, a 7th-ranked Ole Miss team, there you go. Hal Jubin, Juwan Hearns, do you really truly believe that or saying that because you have been wrong the last 2 games? I didn't see what his predictions were, Hal. Did he pick against LSU against Ole Miss? Richard Sinnett, Isaac Smith is a very important safety recruit for LSU. He and Toviano are great prospects, absolutely. Of course, Isaac's dad played for Ole Miss, but came in past weekend for the Ole Miss game, and we're really working to try and get him for an interview right now. Have not had any luck, but it's my understanding the visit went very, very well. You're always kind of skeptical when kids who are interested in the school you're playing or are committed to the school you're playing come in for visits, but maybe that's not the case. But it's always so difficult. I'm telling you, I've been doing this for 26 years. No matter how bad Ole Miss or Mississippi State is, it is extremely difficult to pull top kids out of the state of Mississippi. The best luck LSU ever had has always been the Gulf Coast. And, obviously the Dixon brothers and Miles Brennan, Alcindor Jackson years ago, and a few others in the Jackson area, Ridley, private school league. But it's more often than not, it's a very, very tough get for LSU. We used to always make jokes about the collection plate at the church and how well that did for Mississippi State. I remember a couple of defensive backs back-to-back years. Defensive backs when Mississippi State was so bad, and Saban was the coach at LSU, and still couldn't pull them out of there. Carl Dunn, want to get your comments on the Carroll head coach and 8 other coaches getting suspended. Carl, I didn't see anything about that. I've heard about it. I have not been following that at all. I need to go. I've heard about it, but really, honest to God, I haven't. Still static. You guys still getting it? Hold on a second. That should be better. Chick Drummer, so I get to meet Coach Burtman tomorrow night. I'm so excited, dream come true. I got to be there for one of his first 2 shows. I was actually supposed to be the guest on the first show earlier this fall, the new Skip Burtman show. But it was a night when there was an LSU football. It was player interviews or something. I couldn't make it. But the following week I was there, and I'd gotten Gilbo to give me an advanced copy of his book. It hadn't even gone on sale yet, and Coach Burtman signed it for me, gave me a nice note. And he's a legend. Any chance you get to meet him, if you haven't yet, you need to hurry up and do it. And hopefully he sells a lot of books. Nurse Court is in the house. Hello, Nurse Court. Andy Whitaker, I think LSU season so far couldn't have been better. I don't think there is a better coach out there for this program than Brian Kelly. Absolutely thrilled about what's to come. I've been reading a lot of comments on our press conference video, all of our press conference videos. I read all the comments. And I agree with someone that posted today talking about Brian Kelly's sense of humor. I think he's hilarious. I love the way he comes into press conferences with a dry wit. Last night was his birthday. Stepped in it a little bit when he said, I hope they do it again, about kids going out on the field after the game. And then he stepped back and he looked around the room because we were all looking at him like, oh, no. Bonnet's over to the side. I was waiting for him to chime in and say, no, coach. But then he realized, oh, no. I meant more wins. And look, he takes it all in stride. I think some of the stuff that's come his way from the national media since he arrived at LSU has been really over the top. But you see what happens? Okay? They all respected him at Notre Dame. Maybe didn't like him because it's Notre Dame. It's like Notre Dame, Dallas Cowboys, Yankees, Texas, Alabama. Got a whole lot of hate everywhere around the country for those types of teams. And so he comes to LSU, and then all of a sudden they want to tear him down. And then LSU falls badly to Tennessee, loses to Florida State, and now they're wanting to build him back up. It's like a cycle in the media that you see in everything, whether it's celebrities. They love to tear you down, but they also love to build you back up. And you're noticing a little build back up thing going on with the media right now. Feinbaum slobbering all over himself right now over Brian Kelly. It's funny to watch. Yeah, Mike McCann. I'm not hearing static and so happy not to listen to someone chewing ice in the microphone. There you go. By the way, Preston's wife still has not delivered. She was due on Monday. Alyssa still hasn't delivered their baby boy, but our good friend of the show, Blake Ruffino, had a beautiful little girl born a few days ago, and it ain't often that you see a newborn that is as cute as she is. And so congrats to Blake and his wife over at RU Serious Sports. Trucking says, I fix it with whatever I did. Thank you. Trucking with Casper with a super chat. Thank you, Trucking. If JD comes back next year, will he automatically be the starter in your eyes, or will Walker Howard have a true chance to win it? Man, I have gotten this question, and I know I'm not the only one. Other internet shows, local talk shows have been getting it. Everybody's getting it on the phone and hypothesizing about JD. A month ago, it was like, get him out of there, the Nuss bus. And in the last 2 weeks, it's like, can you convince him to come back for another year? So the number he's done on the LSU fan base is like Brian Kelly with the national media. I just think the trajectory that he's on and how much of a hot commodity he is, and him being singled out and offensive player of the week and top performers of the week by Herb Street. Now he's got a considerable amount of passing film to throw with what he does, running the football and, legit 4.4 speed. Showed his durability. I mean, look at some of the hits he's taken. Knock on wood, nothing bad has happened to him other than probably needing some Advil in a nice whirlpool. But I think if he continues on this, let's say if he even has a mediocre game against Alabama, but he continues against Arkansas and UAB and Texas A&M with what he's been doing, and sitting with one interception right now, maybe add another one in there. Is he in the season with 2, 3? I just think with his skill set and what the NFL likes to do, I think he probably is what he is draft grade wise. I don't know that another year at LSU does that. And again, like I've said in previous shows, when he was recruited by Brian Kelly, the discussion was, Coach, I'm going to come for 1 year and go pro. And that was the plan. And so I think not only does Brian Kelly have the program on schedule, I think Jaden Daniels, with what he's doing with his performance, is on schedule for his particular individual goals. So, but let's just say hypothetically, he just absolutely loves it here and doesn't want to, changes his mind and wants to come back. It's going to be a very interesting situation on how then what the quarterback scenario might be in the spring. I think if you're Brian Kelly, you still have to have a competition and open it up. But you're going to have a hard time sitting down a guy like Jaden Daniels if he continues to play the way he's playing. And as you guys, as much as you know, I'm the head of the Walker Howard PR firm. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that Walker Howard's going to sit him down if he comes back with that much college experience. Hope that answered it. Jeremy Franks, do you think we can go to a New Year's Six bowl? Whew. I don't know that you can get there with 3 losses. You would have to win out. That's tough. Hal Jubin, I love Brian Kelly humor. Poe English, win or lose, I still salute Kelly and those Fighting Tigers, but I will say this game will be a special one. Remember, I said it first. Look, I just hope that Matt House has a defensive game plan because we know he's a master at halftime. I think a lot of LSU fans want to see Matt House come out with a game plan that's ready to go, that doesn't need to be changed, that he's, not say guessed right, but he's got a pretty darn good idea of what Alabama's going to want to do, and he's ready for it. That said, Alabama's wide receivers and that speed and LSU's defensive backs are going to have their toughest test of the year, without a doubt. Keith Contrary. Jimbo left Florida State in a disciplinary dumpster fire state as well. Got out in time to save his reputation and career. I think there's something to that. And in 2015, I was a guy that was on the Jimbo bandwagon. 2016, I'd kind of waned a bit, but still wanted him over Orgeron, without a doubt. And then 2 years later, Orgeron proved me wrong with the trajectory of the program and the wins and the bowl wins. And then not soon after that, after the best year in college football history, you know what happened. But, yeah, Jimbo's going to have to get an offensive coordinator. I don't know what other staff changes he's going to have to make. I don't know what kind of pressure the athletic director, Bjork, is putting on him. But I assure you it's there. Mick McGrath, did y'all see Lane Kiffin troll Texas 8-4? Yeah, that's funny. I like what Lane Kiffin does. There's a place for him in the SEC. Stephen Kubit, I love watching TigerBait on YouTube. I had to turn off Saturday night with precedent as ice. Other than that, Buddy and Mike is the highlight of my week. Thank you, Stephen. Buddy will be back next year for the Alabama game week, he says. Wasn't feeling too good this afternoon. Tari Love, want to be able to use Perkins as a spy rusher due to Gibbs being all over. Man, Gibbs is a fantastic running back. But Harold Perkins needs to be on the field. I want to see Savion Jones on the field more. But whatever Matt House comes up with, I'm anxious to see what they do. You got to believe they're really they're feeling it at LSU, and they want to come up with some new wrinkles and give Alabama a fit. Let's see. There you go, Chance Babb. And Lane Kiffin is president of the Harold Perkins fan club. That was pretty nice. That was a pretty nice post game by Lane Kiffin, talking about 40. I like old school coaches that just use the number and don't say the name. James Wade, Jaden Daniels comes back to LSU. He's a Heisman favorite next year. You might be right, James. Might be right. But I also believe he's ready to make money. Yeah, that was crazy last year. Reaper only lost by 6 last year to Alabama. Let's see. Doug knows all House has to do is call up Jones. That crappy LSU team last year should have beat them last year. There you go. You guys reminded me about last year's LSU-Alabama game. That one had a lot of coulda in it. So, all right, guys, you know what time it is. Let's hear from our buddies over at Pride Roofing.
Hi, I'm Michael.
I'm Alex.
At Pride Roofing, we handle commercial and residential work.
TPO, shingle, and metal inventory.
We got it. Property still in disarray from the recent hurricanes and hailstorms. Insurance claims?
No problem. Though you know Pride Roofing is the official roofer at TigerBait.com.
In fact, notify TigerBait and we'll give you a free roof inspection. And on top of that, you get a free year subscription. Call 855-PRIDE-16. Se habla Espanol.
There you go. Mike Faraday, Alex Martinez, the official roofing company of TigerBait.com. Call them 855-PRIDE-16. Tell them you heard about them on TigerBait. Whether your commercial or residential roof needs work, they've got you covered anywhere from Orange, Texas, all the way to the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, all the way up to Jackson, Mississippi, and as far north in Louisiana is Alexandria. Expansion everywhere. Of course, right there in Albany, Louisiana on Florida Boulevard. Swing into their shops. See how much they stock. See all the stuff that they actually fabricate. You've got the sheet metal company across the street that they purchased. Epic deal. Constantly adding new equipment, new trucks, new personnel. And they're one of the fastest growing companies in the state of Louisiana. And there's no one better than them. And, of course, locally owned. And Mike Faraday is a Broadmoor High School graduate and a graduate of LSU. And I think you'll be happy. And they'll give you TigerBait Premium free for a year if you tell them you heard about them right there on TigerBait. Guys, big group in here tonight. Thanks for all you tuning in. If you're enjoying the show, please hit that like button. Very much so. That helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And you guys, of course, have been fantastic hitting that subscription button and that notification bell. We hit the big milestone on Sunday, went over 15,000 YouTube subscribers. And the growth that we've had in just a year has been astonishing. And it's thanks to you guys tuning in each week and spreading the word about what we do. Kenny Futch. Hey, Mike, what's your take on Kim Mulkey's latest commitment? Big center. She's got 4. I asked her today at her press conference if, was she happy with the 4 she's got? And, of course, she said I can't talk about recruiting. I didn't ask her to individually talk about them. She could have said I like where we're at. But I think she wants to really dive into recruiting after signing day, and she'll talk about it then. But I did ask her also, it was a 2-part question, that proposal that was making the rounds that they're saying has a good chance at passing about summer basketball for men and women's, maybe up to like 4 games, I think I read, at the end of July or August, and she didn't know anything about it and didn't sound like she was too excited about the prospect of that. And but I think a lot of LSU fans would like it because you've got that big doldrum after the College World Series. If LSU gets there, you've got that period of time where it's almost like a depression zone where if you're a college sports fan, there's nothing going on. And I think that's what the NCAA is wanting to do. And so I'd be all for Matt McMahon and Kim Mulkey being able to play some exhibition games at the end of July or the first week of August. And it gives them opportunity to see what their freshmen look like and have some loose competition and it not count towards anything. And then they get to sell some tickets. James Wade, looking forward to a possible Zachary Russin 5A state championship. Boy, there's a lot of good matchups. I was messaging with Dre Troxclair over at Plaquemine, who's now 8-0. And, depending on how they finish out, I think West Feliciana is going to be their toughest game. But I think there's going to be some very good teams that make their way into the Baton Rouge area for some of these early playoff games. Dylan, Mike, what do you think about Brathwaite just flipped from Baylor? like I said earlier in the show, and thanks for the super chat. Prototypical inside linebacker, stops the run, very strong, with about 6'1", 225. If he's good enough for Dave Aranda, that's all you need to know. But I did watch a lot of his film, and obviously came in Saturday, had a great visit, flipped, and I think LSU, between taking Kim Mulkey and now this linebacker, and then you've got Carl Williams over at Southern Lab, the cornerback, who's one to pay attention to with 4.3 speed, who's committed to Baylor. LSU's keeping an eye on him. So when you talk about kids in Louisiana for the class of 23 that could get an offer late, we've talked about a lot of them each week. David Jones at Madison Prep, Caden Jones at De La Salle. I think watch the kid from Southern Lab. And we'll also watch that Santa Maria defensive end that's committed to ULL. I'm anxious to see him myself. I've been hearing some stuff. Rick's in. Mike, do you think the bye week helps LSU or Bama more? Man, I've wondered that, Rick, for a while. If you're surging the way LSU is with, but then you want to get some guys that are injured back. Is Major Burns going to be ready to go? Does that help that situation? And some others. Does Armani Goodwin get that hamstring even a little bit more feeling better? But when you've played the way LSU has had the previous 2 weeks, would maybe have LSU have benefited more from going right into Alabama and not an open date? It's hard to know. Fire 3449, 360 watching, only 9 likes. Hit the like button. Thank you, Fire. Fire is always helping promote hitting that like button. We've been doing pretty good with the like button, guys. Very much appreciate you guys hitting that for us. Chris Turner, Mike, could Coach Brian Kelly take any of those Aggies that got suspended? I say no. The ones that I know that got suspended, I don't know that those are any guys. First thing, made calls to my Aggie sources to see if there was any of the Louisiana kids that were involved, and they weren't. And so, but hey, it's not just the suspension. It's kids that maybe are disgruntled, not feeling the program, want to go somewhere that's more exciting, sexy, on the rise, come back home. Edrin Cooper. He wouldn't be a bad one to pilfer at linebacker. Le'Veon Moss, running back. I think this is a 3 running back class. Or is maybe Logan Diggs want to get out of Notre Dame in that dumpster fire? How do they finish out? Could use Logan Diggs along with the 2 freshmen. There's a lot of scenarios out there. Jacoby Matthews. Jacoby Matthews wanted to come to LSU. He wanted to come to LSU. Had somebody pushing for more money. Barry Barbia, ESPN was reporting that Jimbo Fisher is bringing in John. Okay. All right. I have been seeing a lot of Joe Brady dropped on their message board. The Thrill. Kelly has already exceeded expectations for the year, but since they've turned it on in the past 2 weeks, it doesn't rule out a possible upset next week. We'll see. And look, I posted on my message board only to find out that ZZ Tiger on our Tiger Den message board had already posted the video. ESPN with a big segment is Alabama on upset alert against LSU next week. Well, that just sets the table. You know, Nick Saban sees that. He gets to use that. We'll see. Here's another one. Jonathan Young, I wouldn't mind poaching Speedy Noyle. Yeah, where's he at these days? Larry Francis, I hit the thumbs up button twice. Thank you, Larry. Jonathan Young, Major Burns will start practicing Alabama week. Besh will be playing 100%. And those are all positives. Want to hear something on 7. Banks down the line as well, but he might need more time. I think he's going to need more time based on everything I've gotten. Jonathan Young, it's funny how when Brathwaite signs with Baylor, they call him a 4-star, and then he goes to LSU, and all of a sudden he's a 3-star linebacker, and he decommits. Yeah, let's see how that plays out. There's still multiple ranking periods across the networks. I think he's right there at the 3 to 4 range. On my platform that we use, F5 for TigerBait, in our database, we have 3 entries. We have entries for Rivals, 247, and ESPN Recruiting. And when our calculation on our back end tallied the rankings that we enter in, they had him as a low 4. So on TigerBait, he is a 4-star linebacker, and I think he will eventually be on across the board. The film I saw today, which on his Huddle page, they've been loading up game tape on him throughout. So there is good 2022 season footage on him, and you can see it. He's a 4-star kid. Aggressive, very physical. Hey, Mike, what can you tell us about that big offensive line from John Ehret that LSU offered? I can't wait to see him. I'm making a beeline for John Ehret as soon as I can. I've seen his tape, but other than that, I have not seen him in person. But it's pretty notable of the 25 and the class of 26 kids that have gotten offers. So don't forget, you got Jakeem Stewart over at St. Aug for 26. You got Lamar Brown, defensive tackle at U-High for 26. And then 25, you got Brett Bordelon and many others. So it's crazy what's going on with some of these lower class kids, lower classification kids, and some of the offers that have been coming lately, because it's really been a deal too where, in Lee's case for 24, Kyrie Lee from John Ehret, where we were wondering where the offensive line were going to be for the class of 24, so he gets one. So now you've got offensive line for 24, 25, 26 with offers. Not seeing a running back in Louisiana for 24 yet, and not seeing any quarterbacks yet in Louisiana that might be tempting, or if it was a 2-quarterback class that you would take a flyer on a kid to develop. Not seeing that either. So there's still going to be positions in the state of Louisiana that they're going to have to get from out of state. Stephen Young, Mike, it looks like Eli Ricks will be playing versus LSU. Who do you think we put across from him to take advantage of mismatches elsewhere? That's interesting. I mean, look, Eli Ricks has some talent, but I think any of LSU's top 3 or 4 guys can have some success against Eli Ricks. But he's also going to, get his. But there's plays to be had. Dane Bergeron, hey, Mike, where's Buddy tonight? He wasn't feeling well, but I think he wants to enjoy the entire open date. And so I think I'm going to get to do a little bit of that, because the Friday night games that I had scheduled have been moved to Thursday because a lot of high schools are moving Friday night games due to bad weather. So I'm going to have Friday and Saturday night off. They still have the Molly Ringwalds at LaBerge on Saturday night. I think that might be something to do. The thrill at Mike, if LSU starts fast against Bama, we could be in for a treat. Absolutely. Need to start fast. Don't get behind 2 scores. Quit doing that to yourself. Keith Williams, I love your show. My son plays at BC. Okay. Mike, do you post on your website where you're going to? Yeah, I do. I usually post it on Friday. And so I'm out there. Joe Edelman, who films for me, is out there as well. And sometimes we'll have three of us out, depending on where Preston's at. And I've got one or two other guys who can also film for me if need be. So playoffs, we're going to be really trying to maximize what we can do. Yeah, there you go. Chance Babin is the Martinez kid from East Ascension, LSU prospect. I think he's absolutely a guy that you need to be paying attention to. I think we're going to be watching him a very good bit. Go to TigerBait.com and check out our video of Bryson Martinez, the class of 2026 offensive tackle. Very athletic, two-sport kid. He's absolutely the type of offensive lineman that Brad Davis and Brian Kelly like. The kid who's already got the size but not carrying bad weight at that age. They'd much rather get an offensive lineman that you add weight to rather than have to put on a diet and are constantly fighting them to drop 20, 30, 40 pounds. And so, yeah, he's absolutely one to watch. Go check out the video we posted of him. We've got video of him up. I've got Shelton Sampson, Jawan Johnson from LCA. I've got an interview I did with him. And I've got his defensive lineman teammate interview coming up in the morning from LCA, who LSU offered back in June. He's also got offers from Texas A&M, Alabama, and Mississippi State and others. And then I'm going to also have video of each of those guys that I shot last Friday night when they, which was a stunning. I thought LCA would beat Westgate, but I didn't think it was going to be like that. Westgate really, of course, they were without Derek Williams, but still. I don't believe he would have been that much of a difference in that one. But Jawan Johnson is the real deal. Of course, LSU's recruiting him as a corner. Like most schools, we list him as an athlete. And so that interview's up there. That's more the reason why you need to go to TigerBait, subscribe. Try us out for $1. You get our text alerts, all our prospect video, recruiting updates, game coverage, our instant analysis that Brian Lazar does, and much more on TigerBait. Of course, a lot of stuff on the site right now is free. All our press conferences, all that stuff's free. And, of course, it's right here on our YouTube channel. Kenny Haynes with a super chat. Mike, have you heard on whether an offer is in the works for 2032 kid from North DeSoto? I hear he's great. Yeah, Kenny. That's his little son, although I have seen some video of him. And, of course, you can see him in the thumbnail, number 10 there. He laid the wood, but I think one of those, it was definitely a targeting. Thanks for the super chat, Kenny. Dane Bergeron with a super chat. Mike, need you to settle discussion between Kenny and I. Was I not the first one to mention Brian Kelly on the show with you and Buddy last year? No, I was the first one to mention him. I was the only guy mentioning Brian Kelly throughout the search, and people were mocking me for it. But I'll let you. If you want to say you said it before me, you can. I'll let you go. Sean Sullivan, LSU and Illinois in the Citrus Bowl, maybe. I haven't actually myself been to a Citrus Bowl since 2004 against Iowa, Saban's last game. That was so anticlimactic. Right in pregame warm-ups, the news broke that Les Miles was going to be the new head coach. So it just took the air right out of that game. Nobody even – it really did. Jonathan, Mac, I reached out to him last week. I thought he was one early in the season. Maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe he told me last week. I'm getting confused. I think he might have told me last week he's coming in for Alabama, but I'm not sure. I'll reach out to him. But I talked to him briefly last week. That kid's all LSU. You ain't got to worry about him. Who are the wide receivers in the 24 class? Chris Moss asked. Kobe Young at Holy Cross, big timer. And That's who's got an offer from LSU right now. And I'm gonna have some more stuff on some wide receivers real quick. You'll see. I'm not gonna say it right now. Philip Clinton, hashtag Ask Mike. I watched 2 Bama games last night. Their secondary mainly, their safeties are bad. The offensive line and defensive line are not like years in the past. And Will Anderson is coasting, playing not to get hurt. I agree. I don't think they're what you're used to seeing, but they're still talented. And Bryce Young is very similar is Tua, to where he's throwing off balance and can throw sidearm, and you think you've got him dead to rights for a 20-yard loss, and then he throws one, for a first down off his back foot falling down. I mean, it's you got to be ready to play, and you got to be ready to score some points. There you go, American Patriot. LSU versus Notre Dame in a bowl game. That's kind of stuff you see in the NCAA tournament. Committee members will match stuff like that up. Yeah. Mike, I mentioned Brian Kelly when asked if Walker Howard it went for a scouting trip for a beer trip, and Preston thought that was possible. Yeah, but I go back before that. I was when Osbury went up there, I was teasing Verge about, were you really going up there because they were hitting everywhere. Clemson, A&M, Auburn, Florida, Notre Dame. And I said, are you really going up, or are you really just doing some legwork for a possible coaching search? And then I hit Walker, Jamie, with that when he went up there with Walker as well. I think I said to Jamie, did you pass along a note from Scott Woodward while you were there, or did you have any? Yeah. I will tell you this though. I do know that it was asked when the Howards were there up there, and I want to say he said he had talked to him and he had said no, or he had said he wasn't interested, but there was something there that let you know that something had happened. But there was an initial no as far as interest. They'll play semantics about all that. Bengal Tiger, what is your sense? I have not seen Tulane, but Coach Fritz is a very good football coach. I do know that. And talked to him a little bit and his staff at LSU's football camp every summer. They do a darn good job. Absolutely. Stephen Young, I want Notre Dame to get a no bowl or the worst one imaginable. Their fans and media are insufferable. I've gotten, because of Brian Kelly and one of the sister sites on the F5 platform that I use is Irish Sports Daily, and I've gotten pretty tight with those guys, and they're super guys. Gave me a lot of backstory when LSU got Denbrock and Napoleon, Kerry Cooks. Really got a lot of lay of the land about a lot of the people that came with Brian Kelly. They were very helpful. But yeah, then there's the other guy, Driscoll, you're talking about. There's a few like him as well. But the guys I've dealt with have been fantastic. Brandon Reese, do you think BK has a chance to win SEC Coach of the Year? I think Heupel would have to really crap the bed. But I don't think there's any doubt if LSU gets to 8-4 and even 9-3 that he's finished his strong second and maybe even receive some votes. But if Tennessee continues to do what they're doing and they beat Georgia, it's going to be very interesting. They win an SEC title. I don't know when is the voting for that. And what is the Tennessee schedule the rest of the way? I hadn't even studied that. Love 365 Sikkim, saw you on there last week. Yeah, those are great guys. I got close to those guys during the Moki search, and absolutely, I love doing that show. The guys in Waco were, but like I said earlier, I think they're starting to really hate on it. I think they've had about enough LSU right now. Taking Mulkey, a linebacker today, and then we're on Carl Williams to watch to see if something happens there. All right, guys, it's that time of the show where I get to talk about Tony Freeman with Assurance Financial. If you're thinking of buying a home, refinancing your current mortgage, but you haven't found a lender you can trust, let me tell you about Tony Freeman with Assurance Financial right here in Baton Rouge. Dear friend of mine, many of my friends have used her repeatedly for their mortgage needs. Her knowledge and over 25 years of experience in the mortgage industry is unsurpassed. She offers a wide range of knowledge of home loan products, whether you're a first-time home buyer ready to buy a new home or you just want to explore your refinance options. Tony can guide you through your next mortgage experience. You can feel confident you're making the best decision with Tony as your guide. Not only is Tony a huge LSU fan, but Assurance Financial is a proud partner of LSU Athletics. Call Tony today, 225-239-7150. Again, 225-239-7150. And please tell you heard about her right here on TigerBait.com. NMLS number 104765, Equal Housing Opportunity 70876, and she is the absolute best. She's licensed in multiple states around the South, and so no matter where you're at, she's going to get you the best rate. She's going to get you closed on time, and she's going to chase down the paperwork, picking up a process, and get you everything you need to get done to get the mortgage. And rates are going crazy. The Fed's doing what they're doing. You absolutely need someone like her in your corner. Let's see. I want to get. Let me scroll up and get to some more of your comments, guys. We're at the 52-minute mark, and I want to make sure I get as many of you guys in before we roll out of here. Yeah, Matthew Sales. If Jaden comes back next season, does Nuss transfer? Is there a scenario where even if Jaden goes pro, does Nuss transfer? There's a lot of scenarios that are left to play out. Ricky Collins will arrive at midterm, and it's going to be an interesting sequence of events. It's going to be an interesting December. When you get to this signing day December, whatever bowl LSU is going to be in, that prep, I don't think we're going to see near the craziness with opt-outs for bowl games like we've seen in the past. But you're also going to see guys start to declare for the draft. And so I do think Daniels goes pro, though. But I am enjoying, a month ago, everybody was like, Daniels isn't the guy, bring in Nuss. And now it's like, can you get him to come back for another year? The Thrill, love the show at Mike, pulling me through this night shift. Good, the Thrill. Brandon Reese, BK is having a better first season than most first-year coaches this year. Look, he's going to get his due. He's going to get his accolades. It's once we get in November, you're going to get we're going to be getting all those releases that he's up for. Bobby Dodd and a bunch of players are going to be on this and that watch list. Those start to come fast and furious next month, and so we already saw that he got Coach of the Week or this week, or I forget who it was. I didn't put it up, but look, he's getting his due. He's getting his due, absolutely. And like I said earlier, LSU is ahead of schedule. Keith Williams, I hope LSU wins against Alabama. Look at this one, Bill Valentine. Bama 41, LSU 20. Uh-oh. Stephen Young, 9-3 with a chance at 10-2 is an elite performance by a first-year coach who started with 39, absolutely, with 39 scholarship players. Absolutely, Stephen Young. Yeah, music, JD5 getting drafted. Have you guys seen anybody out there, any of the quarterback gurus out on ESPN starting to talk that way? A Kuiper, et cetera, starting to list their quarterbacks for the next year's draft? I haven't seen any. I admittedly don't watch a whole lot of ESPN other than games. Yeah. Hal Jubin at Brandon Reese, it would be very LSU-like to beat Alabama and then the following week crap a bed in Arkansas and lose. Yeah, that winning it. Fayetteville is always can get crazy, no matter what Arkansas is or isn't. I don't have that yet, Phil Clinton. Mike, what is your prediction of LSU Bama? I'll give it next week. I'll give it next week. Fire 3449. Do you think this year is similar to the 2001 season? Well, that was the year what played Illinois in the Sugar Bowl. I don't see that. I don't see that. But is it not that far behind? And there's one thing for sure. Nick Saban inherited a lot, I think, a bit more talent than Kelly, but of course he didn't have the transfer portal either. But Saban did inherit some very nice players from Jerry DiNardo. And then he added to it nicely and got creative with Kipps and some others. Do you think Tennessee would pull an upset over Georgia? I definitely think they can. Absolutely. All right, guys. Go to TigerBait, subscribe. I listed for you guys all the stuff we've got in recruiting. Thanks to you guys for hitting the subscription button, notification bell. Hit that like button on your way out. Go to TigerBait.com. Try us for $1 for a week. I think you'll enjoy the website. And we'll be back here next week. We should have news of Preston having a new baby boy. And we'll be back Wednesday with Buddy Sanji for another episode of TigerBait Live. So thanks to all you guys participating tonight. And it was a fun show. All right, guys. Good night.